is a virtue that helps you think clearly and make good decisions in any situation. Prudence means figuring out what is really the best for you and then choosing the right way to achieve it. There's a proverb that says, a prudent man looks where he's going. In the readings today, we learn a little bit more about what it means to be prudent. In the first reading, we hear from the prophet Amos. Amos is the great social justice warrior of the Old Testament. And there are general themes in this book. Amos calls out Israel for their sins. He calls them out for their corrupt religious practices. He calls them out for their oppression of the poor. And he warns them numerous times. He warns them that they will be punished if they don't change. Now, with those themes in mind, we can see that in the first reading. Like one of the things we heard in the first reading was about the new moon. In ancient Israel, the new moon was a religious festival that took place once a month where all business practices were halted as a way to honor God and to keep God first. In the first reading, we also heard about the Sabbath. Now, you're probably a little bit more familiar with that. The Sabbath was the day of rest. And work was prohibited for the Jews so that they could worship and focus on God. The corrupt merchants of Israel only saw these things like the festival of the new moon and the Sabbath as impediments, as barriers to their business and to their making money. You can almost hear them saying, gosh, when will this be over so that I can do what I really want to do? For them, worshiping God was an impediment to what they really worshiped: money. And Amos condemns them for their corrupt religious practice and for their oppression of the poor so that they could make money. He warns them that if they don't change their ways, they will be punished. And Israel would be destroyed. And sure enough, the northern kingdom was destroyed. Essentially, Amos is telling them and warning them that they're not acting with prudence. They're not seeing clearly because they're not putting God first. They're not making good decisions because they're oppressing the poor. They don't see what's best for them, which is their right relationship with God. And they're certainly not looking where they're going, towards destruction. In the gospel, Jesus teaches us about prudence. Now, it starts off with the parable of the dishonest steward. Now, this steward is about to be fired for squandering his master's money, squandering his property. Now, to secure his future, this dishonest steward reduces the debts of all the people who owe his master money so that the dishonest steward can earn their favor, so that when he gets fired, these people remember him, and they might help him. The master praises the dishonest steward for acting prudently. The dishonest steward clearly saw his future and he had to make a decision. He figured out what was best for him in that moment, and he chose the successful way to achieve it. So what does this mean? First, I have to qualify it. Jesus is not praising dishonesty. He's not saying to act in a dishonest way. He's using this as an example. He's saying to be clever in planning for your future. In other words, he's telling us to be prudent. He's telling us to develop the virtue that helps us think clearly and to make good decisions. He's telling us to figure out what's really the best for us and to choose the right way to achieve it. And as that proverb says, a prudent man looks where he's going. So where are we supposed to look? Where are we going? We're going to one of two places: heaven or hell. I mean, we have this final destination that we don't seem to take very seriously. I mean, if we're honest with ourselves, we can say at times we watch more TV than we pray. Or we scroll through social media more than we read the Bible. Sometimes we're focused on things like sports rather than things like Mass. I remember one time going to a football game back in the day, and there was a sign in the crowd that said, "Football is our religion." And they were very serious. Whatever it might be, and it's particular and relative to each and every one of us, we focus on all kinds of temporal things. No matter what it is, ultimately all these things we focus on are like picking up a handful of sand. And then when we reach the end of our lives, we'll realize that all of that counted for nothing, just like sand falls through our hands. Jesus tells us to live prudently. Keep our eyes fixed on God. Keep our eyes fixed on Jesus. Keep our eyes fixed on heaven. And do everything we can to get there.